Hello! How are we feeling in the club tonight? Are we ready to get fucked up on a Wednesday? Because I'm ready to get fucked up on a Wednesday. Good evening, everybody. Good. Oh, that's embarrassing. Hold on. Hi. Sorry about that. I was indecent. I'm so sorry. So, welcome in, everybody. Good evening, as per usual. I'm gonna take my glasses off because they're making my eyes look a little sillier than normal. But welcome in, everybody. So today we are going to be playing a game. I know, we never do that here. That's crazy. EEBEE doesn't wear pants on stream, confirmed. Maybe one day we can afford pants. One day. Not today, but one day. Welcome in, everyone. Hello, Edge. Hello, Lagwolf. Hello, Komi. Welcome in, welcome in. So, I was actually given an opportunity to play a game for you guys, which was really cool because sometimes I get, like, opportunities where people will be like, here's a Steam key, play this. And I'll be like, I don't want to. But this game looked really cute and it kind of seemed right up my alley. So I was like, you know what? Let's try it, right? It was described to me as Coffee Talk and Dungeons and Dragons. And I've never played Coffee Talk. And I don't like Dungeons and Dragons. But I like Valhalla. And I like Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So I figured it was close enough. So this game is called Tavern Talk. And we are going to be owning a tavern. Wow, isn't that crazy? And we are going to be serving some patrons. So I'm hoping I can put the Riz on. I don't know if there's like any like romance plots or anything like that, but I'm gonna be really normal and well adjusted. Something that happens every EEBEE game stream. I'm so normal, guys. I'm so normal. But hello! I can't believe this is our last like full week before the Skyrim model debut. It's kind of fucking me up how soon it is. I haven't posted the announcements on the trailers on YouTube. If you haven't seen it yet, please do. I'm really proud of it. But I'll be posting it on Twitter on Sunday, and then not this Sunday, but next Sunday will be my birthday. It will be debuting, and I'll be doing my donathon, and it's gonna be a whole big shindig. I haven't done like a donathon or anything like that in 2 years. Yeah, 2.5 years. So I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to show you guys the new model. But for now, we're big chillin'. We are absolutely big chillin'. I can't wait until I turn 40 when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. Yeah, hasn't it been, what, like 6 years since they dropped the trailer? Yes, go Bethesda, go girl, give us nothing, yay! I don't know, I'll be real with you guys. I don't know if we're ever gonna get Elder Scrolls 6. Like, here's the thing. Okay, me and my dad had this conversation, like, forever ago. Because me and my dad are really big Half-Life fans, right? And the meme for, like, the past, what, 20, 30 years has been, like, haha, Half-Life 3, haha, Half-Life 3. And the thing is, like, me and my dad disagrees with me, but my theory is half the reason there's never gonna be a Half-Life 3 is because it's been so long that it just can't meet expectations, right? And I guess I shouldn't say that because Half-Life Alyx was really good. I haven't played it yet, but I'd like to play it on stream. But my dad said it was really good. My dad really liked it. I'd like to play it on stream with like the 3D full body tracking model. I think that'd be really fun. But that's the thing, is like so much time has passed, like the bar's so high. Like we saw that with Cyberpunk too, right? Like Cyberpunk was so cool, but there were Reddit posts of people being like, the game is out and now I have nothing else to look forward to because this is all I've been looking forward to for the past like 5 years. And it's like, but like that's like low-key how I feel is gonna be with Elder Scrolls 6. Like, we've been waiting for so long. By the time it's gonna come out, it's gonna be so mid. Like, I genuinely think it's gonna be mid, which I don't like. I really hope that Todd proves me wrong. I'm really hoping Todd proves me wrong, but I'll believe it when I see it. And you know what? I might be 75, fucking still modding Skyrim in the nursing home, but I'll be happy. And I'll be modding a good game. Todd Howard is God. What do you mean? He only makes the best games. I mean, I liked parts of ESO. I know ESO was kind of on release, but like I played it a little bit during the Panini press, and I liked it a lot. So I might come back to it. But on release ESO and on release 76 for sure, where something, the new Dragon Age. I literally, I don't know if I'm gonna play the new Dragon Age. Didn't Valve kind of say that Half-Life Alyx was Half-Life 3? So I don't know if they said that, then they're stupid, because Half-Life Alyx takes place like before Gordon Feitman is even like in City 17, if I recall correctly. Like Half-Life Alyx is more of a prequel, if I recall correctly. Again, I haven't played the game, but it's just based off what my dad told me. We might need to get Dad B on here and have him info dump about Half-Life with me. But yeah, I really, because that's the thing is like, okay, am I allowed to give spoilers for a game that's, when did Half-Life 2 Episode 2 come out? I need to Google this. Half-Life 2 Episode 2 came out, here, release date 2007. Am I allowed to spoil a nearly 20-year-old game? Is that okay? Is that cool? Like, are we good with that? I just want to set some boundaries. Like, okay, if you don't want spoilers for Half-Life 2 Episode 2 from 2007, mute the stream. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so Half-Life 2 literally ends with fucking Eli Vance getting shit on, and then everything's going to shit, and it ends with Alex, like, crying, and then the game just ends. So it's like we leave off with this cliffhanger of, like, what now? Gordon Freeman's trapped. Fucking Eli Vance is dead. Alex is losing her shit. What's gonna happen? And I will never fucking forget this. I remember, like, I played all the Half-Life games when I was a kid, right? I've told this story before, but I love telling it. Half-Life was literally, like, my gateway from, like, Barbie Horse Adventure to, like, quote-unquote big boy games. Now, as an adult, I would argue that Barbie Horse Adventure is a big boy game, but Half-Life was like my first shooter, right? And I had played all the Half-Life games. I had like family shared with my dad's Steam library. And I remember being 7 years old. I think I was 7 or 8 or 9. And turning to my dad and being like, when's the next one coming out? And my dad looks at me and he goes, Evie, there is no next one. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, they're gonna make an episode 3, right? And this was in, like, God, I think it was in 2010, and he's like, I don't know, kiddo. I don't know. Like, so, like, years passed, and it was just like, Dad. Like, it felt like learning Santa Claus wasn't real. Like I think it was, like, a few years past, like, 2014. I was like, Dad, do you ever think Episode 3, do you ever think Half-Life 3 is gonna come out? And he had to look at me and be like, Evie, I don't think it's coming, sweetheart. I just, I don't know. I've been thinking about replaying Black Mesa on stream because I really like Black Mesa because OG Half-Life low-key is like so nostalgic for me, low-key. But like, the thing with Black Mesa is I think Black Mesa is a fantastic Half-Life remake with the exception of the fact that they took the Zen level and expanded it from 2 hours to like 10 hours. And like, at first it was really cool, but then I was like, can I please just finish the fucking game? I was so mad. So maybe we'll play it again. I don't know, we might bring Dad B on. We'll have to see. We might actually have a family stream coming soon because I did a panel at Hentai Matsuri and my parents are like, well, we want to see your presentation. And I'm like, are you sure about that? I think everyone, but you know, my chat thinks I'm a fucking weirdo and a freak. And my mom's just like, I don't think you're a weirdo or a freak. I think you're perfect the way you are. My mom has a like very thick Southern accent. That's why I'm saying it like that. And she's like, I'm not gonna pretend you're a freak. You're beautiful the way you are. And I'm like, Mom, I talk about fucking a dragon. And she's like, oh, Evie, that's not right. I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry. So what we might be doing is, I think we might be doing an IRL stream. We haven't done an IRL stream in a while, where I am going to do my Hentai Matsuri presentation again for people that weren't here at Hentai Matsuri, but, I'm also going to give it to my parents and my sister. So that may be coming soon. I'm not sure when. We have to figure out a good date for everybody. But that's going to be the collab of the century. EEBEE, Dad B, Mom B, and EEBEE2. Thank you for the click collab. But without further ado, let's start yapping. Well, we've already been yapping, but we're gonna yap some more. So let me get the game going. And maybe there's wenches in this. Maybe there's pretty girls and pretty boys. We don't know yet. So we're gonna find out. Turn my BGM off. Turn the game audio on. Shout out to this game, by the way, because every time, and again, yes, they gave me this for free. Full disclosure, I might be a little biased because they gave me this game for free. Also, they sent an email not to go past a certain section. Let me pull up that email again to make sure I don't get sued. I'm so good at being a content creator. I think if you do an indie game, you should sponsor me. I'm so good at this. It said, please don't show any content onwards from Act 2 onwards until June 19th, 7 p.m. CET. Oh, so I can do it, like, in, like, 20 minutes, then. Wait, Wednesday? What? 19th June? Oh! Yeah, I can play the whole thing, then. Okay, bet, because apparently that was 1 p.m., and now it's 6 p.m., so I think we're good, then. Okay, bet. So, shout out to this game, because so many times when I start a new game, well, one, they gave me the game for free, so that's a shout out. Two, so many times when I open up a new game, the audio is really fucking loud, and I have a moment. Whereas this game, it was loud, but it was not, for lack of a better term, ear rape. My ears feel okay. They feel good. So, without further ado, let's get started. But I like the aesthetic so far. It's very cute. New data. Pronouns. Do they have, like, all? Can't do all, so we'll just do she, her. Okay. Let's see.
Once upon a time
dialogue.
in a world
Okay.
far, far away. In a realm ruled by dragons
This is really
and magic.
cute.
Well, actually, it was this line specifically. Not that far away. Let me start over.
Okay. Take
Once
your
upon
time,
a time,
queen.
somewhere in Gaia. Not that far away.
Not that far away.
There was a tavern.
Oh, shit.
My tavern.
My tavern. I thought it was my tavern.
A place for anyone looking for an adventure or a quick refreshment.
Can I get
A place open to everybody.
Can I get a...
Even jackdaws, I suppose.
Oh.
But I'm not just your typical innkeeper.
Okay. Oh, look at all these
My
buttons.
drinks are infused with magic to aid ambitious adventurers on their quests.
This is cute.
To make sure they always return victorious. Big shoes to fill, I
Pretty
know.
girl. I like her beret.
Then again, what's the worst that could happen?
Me! Daddy Dave isn't usually quiet for start stream. I don't know where he is, actually. He's not in here, but that might be why. But I don't know where he is. All right, do we get a tutorial? Hello! Hiya, Inkeep. How's it going? All fine and dandy? She is adorable. Oh, my God. Can't complain. How are you, Fable? All's fine and dandy? I'm gonna try to voice the characters, but if my throat starts to hurt, then I will stop doing that. Yes, all fine and dandy. I had such an exciting day. Really, really exciting. What do you mean by that? Did you go on an adventure? Even better! I took a walk around the grove, and then I replanted a mushroom that had fallen over. You are literally an angel. Oh my God. Then I patiently waited for it to turn into a mushroom monster. Or a mushroom mimic. Maybe a gnome. Did it? Is that a thing normal people do? No, but I got to take another walk around the grove. How was it? Great! I got to see the same stones, the same trees, the same Aranthine Hydra guarding the entrance to Avalon, the same moss. I even got to water the asters. They didn't really need it, but I was there, so... Sounds very exciting. She's so fucking cute, dude. I want nothing. If anything bad happens to her, I will kill everyone in this fantasy village and then kill myself. Like, holy shit. Who am I kidding? My life is as exciting as a roasted nut. Nuts are healthy, very thrilling in sauces or as a snack. There are various types of nuts. Walnuts, peanuts, hazelnuts. I read a Reddit thread about how they served a guy with a severe nut allergy a nut curry on an airplane. Unrelated, but it was kind of crazy. Like, how do you fuck up that bad? He literally said, like, I have a nut allergy 3 times. And then they were like, oh, do you want chicken or fish? And he was like, chicken. And then he had an immediate allergic reaction and thought he was gonna die. And then when he looked at the menu, it literally said creamy nut chicken curry, which, like, first of all, creamy nut, lamau. Second of all, I guess the flight attendants just didn't read. But I hope he sues. Anyway, ADHD, be gone. I'm allergic. Just like that guy. Okay. Oh. I didn't know that. I will not poison you. Do you have an EpiPen? Oh, no worries. I mean, I never told you. She looks like she has an EpiPen. And hey, at least something would happen if I ate a nut. Just not something very fun. Are you okay? Because it's like, my life is so boring. But at least if I had a severe medical emergency, that would make things interesting. Girl. Girl. Anaphylactic shock and all that. Does that count as an adventure? Oh, honey. Maybe let's do a new adventure. Like, therapy. Yay! Nope. I think that counts as a mistake. So, what you're saying is oh, is this my Riz? Is this my Riz? What you're saying is that you're, missing some spice. Oh, no. I have a very sensitive stomach. I don't think chilies would help me much. What if we took you to a different kind of chilies? Fable, do you know of the sacred 3 for $10 combo? Do you know of the honey chipotle chicken crispers? Oh, I'm very good at growing phoenix chilies. I was talking about the spice in your life. Oh yeah, we're risen. Oh, that's what you meant. Oh, yes, exactly. That's it. There's no chili flakes, no garlic, no dragons. One of those things is not like the other. Just a lot of salt. Oh, she's a League of Legends player. I get it now. My new purpose in life is to protect this cute elf chick. She's so cute, but I'm still gonna put the Riz on. Chad has to protect her from me. I'm like a bland soup. So a classic case of boredom. There's nothing wrong with bland soup. I like bland soup. Hi, Cliff. Don't know who this is, but I love her. This is Fable. She is an absolute goddamn angel, and I want to take her to Chili's. Do you know that feeling when nothing exciting is going on in your life? Like, life isn't bad, but also not particularly fun. I'm risen. Have you tried adding some zest to your soup? Not my daughter, Evie. You can't wait to get one shot of her. Watch me! Huh? Drama, buzz, excitement, something fiery. We are throwing hands for her, yes. Go to a theater or a gala. Arrive in a hot air balloon. A hot air balloon? Don't they fly up really high? Yeah, I think that's the point, actually. I'm afraid of heights, and of people, and of actors. But apart from that, I'm trying. I tried singing, but what is singing if not the telling of a tale? I know singing. That's my job. And now I run this in. Slow business. How can I sing of things if I never lived through anything? You can just copy someone else's personality. It's fine. Get a ghostwriter, queen. What do you mean? Well, day in, day out, I live in the same green soup of routines. Sure, I have my forest and I look after it, but I want to get out there and see something. Like, for example, listen to this song I started writing. Okay, girl. Do I gotta improvise? All right, I'll improvise. I wish to be a hero, slaying mighty drakes. I wish to meet a pretty nymph, resting by the lakes. Okay, girl. Okay, I like it. I fuck with it. Oh, really? You think so? Well, perhaps it has a nice flow to it. But nothing actually happens in it, because all I do is sit around and wish for things to happen. You need to watch Tangled. Have you seen Tangled? Like, When Will My Life Begin? I think you'd fuck with that. I don't don't even know what nymphs do. I've never met one. Taxes? Yes. No, I don't think so. I would love to sing about the exciting magical things I encountered. Oh, we got lore for her. Okay. Oh, they go by they, them. Okay, we got lore for them. Love you. Fable of Verafina is a ranger taking care of the Ashen Grove. Hi, Nick! We just learned about a cute non-beanie ranger. They dream of being an adventurer, but are troubled by severe anxiety about, well, everything, really. Their nut allergy probably doesn't help either. Well, just don't eat any nuts, and you're good. But to be honest, the most exciting thing in my life is coming to your tavern and discovering new drinks. Not a lot of songs you can write about that. You can write tons of songs about going to taverns. Have you played Hearthstone? Like, there's tons of shit you can do with that. I wouldn't mind a jingle. I'll think of one. Can I mention nymphs? What is it with you and nymphs? I'd prefer if you didn't. Keep it about me. Okay, maybe one day I'll get to offer them their own jingle. What about me? I feel like you're just, it's like the fucking Love Island meme. I feel like you're just here for the nymphs. What do you mean? In the meantime, can I offer you a drink? Yes, I'd love a drink. The usual? Yes, please. That means a swift strike, in case you forgot. All right, now we're making the drinkies. Thank you for the reminder, Fable. It's my favorite. It always makes me feel like a feather-light nymph. Them and nymphs again! What is with you and nymphs? Floating on the waves of a sunny lake. Do you want to be with the nymph or be the nymph? Just like me, for real. Both? But mostly I want a swift strike. That's like me. Do you want to be her or do you want to fall in love with her? I don't know. I want a Dr. Pepper. Alright, message received. Although? I was wondering, I've been coming to your tavern for so long and I still don't know anything about how you make your drinks. I've been Google searching this whole time. You want to be with hot women, but you also want to be the hot woman. Yeah, you get it. I almost burped into the microphone. Could you show me? Yeah, I don't know how to fuck to play this game. Really? Yeah. What should I do? Do I need to put on an apron? Or summon a familiar? What kind of drinks are you making? Like, apron maybe, but like... Oh? How do I summon a familiar? Okay, step one. One thing at a time, girly pop. Just follow me. Alright, let's do this. Let's do this. Hi, Senelian! Welcome in, gamer. Alright, welcome to my drink mixing nook. Okay, we're making drinks for a hot elf. So this is what it looks like back here. Hello, and... Oh! We get a little guy! We get a little guy! Careful, I haven't fed him yet. Oh, look at his big fucking eyes! Where do we start? Well, usually I start by figuring out what my patrons want. Make sure I don't forget what they ordered, I take notes in my journal. Let's take a look. Okay, what we got? Oh, you pinned my order. Oh, okay. Good. If I want to look for specifics, I can check my detailed notes. I do keep a log, just in case. When I'm sure I know what was asked of me, I browse my recipes. Okay, there's a little drink. Can't you just freehand mix something to see what sticks? Yes, that's a Long Island iced tea. No, I like to mix and match for a more varied result, but the right balance is crucial, so I stick to my recipes. When I've settled on one, I can use the chalk to draw it on the board. Oh, I gotta sketch it out? What if you pick the wrong one? Then I die. I don't know. I can either erase it with the sponge or just pick a different recipe. My ingredients are stored in the 5 bottles on the right. There's dexterity, intelligence, defense, strength, and charisma. Ooh, okay. I think hold on, I have to voice it. I think dexterity sounds the tastiest. Girl, do you even know what that word means? I had a feeling you might say that. No, I didn't! If I mess up or want to redo my drinks for any... my drink for any other reason, I can just feed my mistakes to Undo. Once I'm done, I ring the bell to activate the primordial vortex. This does not... Is this what they do at Duncan? Just try making a drink. You've got this. Okay, well, I need the... They want a swift strike. Let's draw that one. Okay, I don't have to actually draw, thank God. Okay. And then, what do I need with it? Let's see. How do I know what to put in it? Pin? Wait, what? How do I know what goes in it? Oh, do I have to... Wait. No. Okay, swift strike. Wait, that's what they want, right? Rumors! Oh, there's gonna be tea. There's gonna be tea. Okay. So it was, do we do this one? Yes, swift strike, okay. And then, do I click these? Because I have to, I'm assuming this is the thing to like draw it. Give me any hints? Dexterity devoted adventurer. Okay, so I guess, which one's dexterity? Wait, which one is dexterity? The speedy one. Okay, is this the speedy one? Yeah, so I guess we'll go with that. Okay. And then a little to the right. So this thing. Is that good? Maybe a little more. Oh, it's full. I think that's fine. And then, do I have to mix it at all? No. Oh my God. No, you're good. I think that's it. This is not the right drink. It has to. What? How is it not right? What? Oh, okay. Well, you take that, bud. Oh. Well. Was that? What was my order? Yeah, it was a swift strike, right? Tasty drink. Is it just dexterity? Like, do I just have to do dexterity? But this is the reason sometimes I struggle with these games is because I'm acoustic. I'm like, it does be exactly right. Is this it? This is not the right drink. I'm wondering if I missed something in the tutorial. Yeah, you take that. You put too much green. Okay. Well, okay, so it needs green. Oh, and it needs something to go down too. Okay, so it needs a little bit of what goes down? Defense? Yeah. Okay, like that. Welcome back, Epic. And then more green. Yeah. And then to top it off with some purple? Yay! Okay, there we go. 3 levels green, 1 level purple, 1 level blue. Okay. Ding! Yay! Okay, I figured it out. I'm so smart. Ta-da! Wow, it actually does teleport. Of course it does. What did you think was happening? I thought you were just very good at sleight of hand. I see. Well, give your creation a taste. It's the best thing you've ever had, right? Yeah, it is. That's delicious. I made that. Yeah, you did. You made that. Thank you for showing me the ropes. Thank you for your enthusiasm. These adventures you dream of, aren't you scared they'd be the end of you? Maybe, but how would I know if I never try? Do you actually want to try? Well, yes. I want to tell great stories, but... But what? Never mind. Okay. Oh, hello, mysterious figure. I'm a big fan of mysterious figure. What's poppin', bro? How can I help ya? Oh, we're gonna... This one's gonna hurt. A drink. For you? Right. What kind? Drinkable. Very specific, thank you. How about a spoken heart? Can I interest you in that? Some charisma couldn't hurt. I just said this man has no riz. Sure, whatever. Alright. Something for fucking Mr. Shady Pants McGee. Alright, what what do you say? Yeah, it doesn't say... What do you say? A spoken heart. This one. Sweet and sparkling in taste, the spoken heart will bring your deepest feelings bubbling to the surface. Your newfound sincerity, confidence, and many heartfelt words will work wonders in boosting your persuasive abilities. A charismatic boost, great for bards and emotionally repressed individuals. Well, I don't think he's a bard, but he does look emotionally repressed, so that's gotta count for something. Alright, so we need this thing, which is... Okay. Okay, Riz, and then we need a little bit of sword. I think just one sword, and then a little bit of defense, I think. Yay! Okay, we did it. Alright, ding! You like it? You like it? It's cute, right? It looks like such a fruity drink for him. I love that. This should be digestible, maybe even tasty. I think I'd make a good innkeeper. Do you guys think I'd be a good innkeeper? I think I'd be great.
Thanks. Almost washes away the memories of that banshee haunting the lonesome lagoon at night.
Okay, and we're trauma dumping.
And her bone-shattering song of sorrow. Almost.
Okay! Oh, we got a rumor there. Wait, hold on. A banshee is haunting the lonesome lagoon, wailing a song that will shatter your bones. Hopefully hyperbole. Well, we'll have to see. Thank you, Mr. Edgelord. All right. Brooding type, I see. Yeah? Oh, what are you thinking about, Fable? Just dreams. Yours or someone else's? It's like being at work again. Mine. Other people seem to have courage to follow theirs. Why can't I be like that? Don't tell me you were inspired by Edgelord McGee. Isn't that up to you? I wish it was. My brother says my dreams are a fool's errand, that I'm running away from where I belong. We are rangers, Fable. We belong to the woods, like the stream that ripples down the mountain. Or the birds in the trees. We keep the balance. It's what we're meant to do. And is that what you want to do? Yes. No. Not really. I want to experience things outside the safe borders of the forest. I want to live a life so full of adventure, boredom will feel like bliss. I want to be brave and strong. And I want to sing songs about my adventures that make other people yearn for that same freedom. Of course I could never leave the Ashen Grove behind forever. It's my home. But there's nothing wrong with going away from time to time, right? I mean, my brother looks after the grove, as well as my sisters. I think it'd be fine without me. Then you should do what your heart desires. Will it stop aching then? I think so, yes. What if... It's wrong to leave, though. What if destiny never meant for me to leave? What if it did? That would be a dream come true. Be your own genie, Fable. Your adventures start with you. Thank you, Innkeeper. You really are the most exciting part of my day. Yay! Wait, do they pay me ever, or is that just it? People wanting drinks but not knowing what they want, so I have to pull teeth to find something they like. Yeah! Oh, whoa! Hey! Hey! I am not beating the furry allegations. Greetings, traveler. How may I help you?
You own this establishment, Innkeep?
Last time I checked. With whom do I have the pleasure?
The name's Carolyn. You can call me Care or Lynn. Couldn't care less.
How about you, Carolyn, on my nuts? Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm 12. I'm 12. I'm 12. I'm 12. I'm 12. Nice to meet you, Carolyn. What can I do for you? Perhaps something to drink?
You do the thing with the quests, right?
So they say. I'll care for you, baby. Do you want one? You can take a look at my notice board.
No quest for me. But I may have one for you, or your notice board.
Tell me more.
Heard of a werewolf making trouble in Tregarin, terrorizing farmers, tearing sheep apart, the whole program.
A werewolf? That's news to me.
Listen, me too.
Didn't see one in almost a decade, and that was far south in Narova. Been wondering if it's the same one just moving up, like a nomad? I thought the werewolf hype died along with that one romance novel. You mean the one with the vampires? Yeah, I think so. No, that just splits society into two camps. Team werewolf or team vampire? Which one are you, Inky? Oh shit. I mean, I personally was team, I think that the werewolves and the vampires should just kiss. Like, low-key, I got in trouble one time when I was in middle school, because I was super, like, that's how old I was when Twilight was really popular. And I remember, like, people asking me, like, oh, are you Team Emma and Team Jacob? And I got in trouble because I said, I think they should all kiss each other and we can just shut up. And that was apparently not an appropriate thing to say. But that was my answer. I'm team just be polyamorous and call it a day. Story closed. Done. The end. We'll go team vampire because Astarian. Why not? Ah, so you're into the fangs, are ya? Oh. And Innkeeper never tells. So many love story in the Twilight. We'll see. You little rascal. I like you. Likewise. Mommy, sorry. Mommy, sorry. Mom, look at her ears. I'm not a furry. I'm not a furry. I'm not a furry. What about you? Vampires. Why? The wolves are too close to my kin and, yeah, I'd rather stay away from them. Is that why you don't want to take care of the werewolf yourself? I'm not a furry! I'm not. I can appreciate good art. This game has fantastic art, and I am appreciating it. Okay? Okay. EEBEE should be an audiobook actor. I mean, I've always kind of wanted to get into voice acting, but it's just one of those things where it's like, I never have time. I don't know. Maybe I'll do more stuff like this and we'll see what happens. Oh, it's chibi time! Hold on, let me get her out. This is gonna make the voice acting even even funnier. Hold up, I think it's this one. I don't know why she defaults to having her cheeks puffed like that. There we go. Okay, chibi time! You're a small furry now? God damn it. Okay, let me recalibrate my camera because if I don't, when I have this model out, she just looks like she's high all the time. I'm not high. Okay, yay. All right, we're gonna just do that. I don't know why my eyes are like jiggling. I don't know. Okay, now it's stopped mostly. I think it's just if I turn my head over here because I lose the light. I don't know. Yes. No. I'm just afraid he might look too much like my Uncle Dragon. Would feel bad slinging that fella. You know? Hunchback, hairy, crooked teeth. Is that a werewolf or just Uncle Dragon? Can't tell. Same fate befell Aunt Olga. I'm sorry to hear about that. Nah, that hag had it coming. Oh, damn! Never fall behind your grooming scheduler. Before you know it, the next wannabe Van Helsing will strike you down with a silver arrow. Oh, God damn, okay. I appreciate fine female features, not whether they're furry or not. I mean, same. Thank you for the hydrate epic. Do the Van Helsings also hunt werewolves? Don't know. Don't care enough to check. Either way, that's Southern Werewolf, yeah? Right. Anything else that might help others get done with it rather swiftly? Fetch. Pardon? Should they get into a dangerous situation, they'll just have to start playing fetch. That works? Gotta leave you parched. I am probably gonna take a lot of water breaks with this one. It is a lot. I don't know how long this stream's gonna be just because I am yapping a lot. And I'm a one-woman yapper. On any dog. Trust me. Good to know. Thanks, Carolyn. It's not that hard. Either Carolyn, Care, or Lynn. I'm sorry. Gotcha, Carolyn. Alright, Chief. You got a name or is it just Innkeep? I need to give her like a little bit more like... I don't know what the word is, but a little bit more like... I'm too professional with her. Just Innkeep for now. Playing hard to get, I see. Well, Inky, then before I venture on, you got a drink for me? Of course. What do you like? I'll take something powerful. Something with a whole lot of strength. And don't you dare give me any of that watered down muck instead. Alright. Something strong and powerful. Let's do big strength. So, maybe the Southern Brawler? Offense and defense. I feel like maybe this one is going to be the play. Let's try that one. Because it has a lot in this one. Okay, sword. Oh, whoopsie. Okay, then we're gonna do the crown one, which is, I don't remember. Okay, I think that's, oh, no, oh, I messed that up. It's one level of that. Oh, take this. Here you go. There you go. All right, yummy, yummy. Okay, there we go. One level of this. Yes, and then, maybe one level of this thing? Yeah. Oh. Perfect! Okay, I hope she likes it. Please like it, pretty wolf woman. Hi! A drink with 0 water, as you requested.
Not bad. Just what I was craving. Thanks.
Where will you head from here?
Perhaps back west through the Ashen Grove. Got some business to take care of.
What kind of business?
Personal business.
Care to elaborate?
No. But you won't stop asking until I do, will ya?
She does it so well. No.
My cousin claims her crops are being stolen by undead snails. Obviously, I'm pretty sure she's hallucinating.
Let's see, rumor unlocked. Snail. Oh, we have a ton of rumors now. Goddamn. Okay.
Obviously, I'm pretty sure she's hallucinating. But I did hear some folks complaining about an undead uptick in the west, so might as well humor.
And make sure she hasn't turned into an undead snail herself.
Something like that. It's odd, ain't it? Resurrecting the dead.
It's certainly unconventional.
That's one way to put it. I think there's not much use digging up the past. It's just gonna open wounds you stapled shut. Or eat your face.
The past haunts everyone willing to listen.
Would you mind talking like a normal person?
I ain't exactly up for what the oh fuck. Philosophizing. Okay, let's try this again. God damn it. Hi, Charlie.
Would you mind talking like a normal person?
I ain't exactly up for philosophizing. You started this conversation.
And I'm ending it.
Alright, well then. If you find any more rumors for me or need aid, don't shy away from coming back. Goddamn, I have 0 riz.
I'm more of a lone wolf. Don't do groups, but sure. For more work, I'll be back.
I'll be waiting. Let's see. We have Fable, Carolyn, Beast Slayer, Chaotic Good. Carolyn is a strong and fearless beast slayer with a taste for strong drinks, big swords, and even bigger muscles. She despises small talk in any way or form, and understandably for her, keeps her distance from werewolves. Oh, wouldn't like being mistaken for one either. Fair enough. Okay.
Speaking of rumors, you know how to turn them into proper quests, right?
Oh, tutorial time.
Don't want them to go to waste.
Help me.
Fine. I guess I've got a few minutes. Let me see your setup.
Okay, how do I turn things into quest? This is where I sort all the rumors I've collected. I also keep them written down in my journal so I don't forget.
Smart. I think the best next step would be... Oh,
I can't talk.
I think the best next step would be sorting the matching snippets on your quest page. Just drag them over and make sure they're all for the same quest. Otherwise, you'll end up confusing adventurers. Once you're done, select the quill of yours and it'll be written up. Got it?
Got it. Thanks for your help, Carolyn.
Put it on my tab.
That's not how that works. Okay, good night to you too. Alright then. Let's assemble this quest. Okay, so do they have to be like in I think they have to be in order. So Carolyn told me about a werewolf, so that'll be the first one. Maybe this one? Yay! Okay, perfect. Oh, I got an achievement! Okay. A werewolf on detours. A reticent Vulcan passed by the Wayfarer's Inn, reporting a werewolf making their way up to Tregarin from Erova. They pose a potential threat to the helpless sheep and the villagers. Apparently, werewolves love playing fetch. Are you brave enough to take on this quest and save Tregarin from the werewolf mayhem? Okay, maybe that'll work. Let's see. Yummy! I love him so much! This is cute. I like this. This is fun. I'm having a good time. Alrighty. Act 1. The Wayfarer's Inn. 2. Prelude to Bravery. Okay, I'm allowed to... Yeah, I'm allowed to show everything, I'm pretty sure. Think so. Yeah, it's past 7. We should be fine. Oh, they're back. You took a quest! Hi, Fable. What you got there? I found this on your notice board. It says a werewolf is terrorizing Tregarin. Is that true? Alright, it's official. I'm gonna play this. Tell the people that EEBEE Games influenced you to play the game. I'm influencer now. Look at me. I'm doing the influencing. I'm an influencer. I'm sorry. I did it! I hit a cord, man! Bites the ear. But yes, the game is Tavern Talk. I believe it officially releases tomorrow. So if you want to put it on your Steam wish list, just search up Tavern Talk on stream. But yes, I have done it influencing. David! Oh, he just finished pooping. David! I'm an influencer now. Yeah, I influence.
Get a real job.
Thank you, David. Very cool. I love and support you in bullying me.
Gaslight,
Yeah.
gatekeep, girl
AKL
boss.
Trifecta, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. AKL is actually going to be doing one of the voices in my lore video for my new Skyrim model. I'm not going to say which voice yet, so it's going to be hidden. Now I'm nervous. Now an actual voice actor is watching my stream, and I'm voice acting. Oh, God. The pressure is on. It is indeed. Have you sent anyone after it yet? Maybe that hooded guy from yesterday? Not yet. What kind of hero are you, looking for? One who knows... Oh, wait, no, that's me. One who knows their way around difficult terrain, woods even. Preferably one who is good with the bow, but thank you for the follow, gamer. You're now Gaslight, Gatekeep, goodbyes. One who tells me they want the quest. It's not too crazy. I am good with a bow. Yes, Fable. Keep going, keep going. And I know my way around any woods. And maybe I want the quest. Just maybe? No, not my child. I'll commit arson if Fable dies. Honestly, if Fable dies, I'm going to murder. Thank you. I want to get into voice acting. I really do. It's just like every time I like look at something, they're like, "Oh, you need a demo reel," and I'm like, "I don't know what the fuck that is." Then I give up. One day I'll make an actual demo reel. One day. Maybe I'll use stuff from this as an example. Who knows? Maybe it'll get me to get off my ass. But thank you. No, not just maybe. Since yesterday, all I've been able to think about is you telling me to follow my heart. And then I step into your tavern, and the quest practically jumps out at me, and I think, hey, there's a start for an adventure. It's near a forest. You know forest. You live in a forest. And werewolves are basically just normal wolves, but slightly scarier because they are also human. But you've talked to humans before. And you got silver arrows for your birthday last year, and they're just collecting dust in your room. And... Get off your ass and get a real job! Yeah, David clocked me with that one. Demo reel comes eventually, but for now it's all about finding your voice and having a blast. I might do more stuff like this. This is low-key real. I usually don't do like visual novels or stuff like that, but this is really fun. I'm having a good time. And I thought I could ask you if anyone had taken it yet. And then... I didn't think that far ahead. Oh, that's okay, I see. Or rather I did, but then I thought, what if I take the quest? Then I have to go on the quest. That is how that works, sweetheart. And I have to fight the werewolf, or talk to the werewolf, which is worse. Because what if the werewolf doesn't like me? And what if when I try to shoot it with my silver arrow, I miss and shoot a tree instead? And then the tree would be mad at me. I love them so fucking much. Fable, I'm gonna give you a very special spell. It's called Prozac. No, they're an angel. They just have anxiety. It's okay. But it wouldn't really matter because I'd be dead because of the werewolf. That took a very quick turn. So maybe I should put the quest back. Fable? Yes? Do you want me to tell you to take the quest? Maybe. I can't make this decision for you. Neither can I. Whenever I have to make a difficult decision, it's like I freeze in place. And suddenly I'm unable to move until someone makes the decision for me. Like a slime! A frozen slime! A frozen slime that can't move. I've met... I don't know, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I feel that too. And then I just asked David. Like, I feel like sometimes when me and David are out at restaurants, I'll have him order for me because I genuinely can't make a decision. And I'm worried, like, the servers are like, are you okay? It's like, no, I'm just shy. I get a little stupid. I promise David is not abusing me. I just have the anxiety. You've met slimes? My tavern is open to anyone. Oh, right. What do slimes drink? Water. More slime. Bones. It's why when I find something on a menu I like, I would just always order it. Yeah, I remember one time I went to... My parents, like, have this one restaurant. They, like... It's not, like, super fancy, but it's, like... It's, like, one of those restaurants where they're, like... Yeah, it's not that expensive. And then it's, like, $30 for chicken tenders. And I'm like, Mom, that is expensive for me. Okay? I'm a budget bitch. But, so, like, I'll always order the same thing. And then one time I got something different, and it was awful. And I was like, well... I am never being brave ever again. There we go. Hi, Gaming! Is he me cheating on Skyrim? Nice. Is this EEBEE Games NTR? Well, okay, it's not Skyrim, but Skyrim adjacent. I'm talking to pretty people, and it's a fantasy setting. Thank you for the yeet. I deserve it. Pretty people, me being Rizless, and fantasy setting. That's pretty much... That's very much just NTR's Nice Tavern Rambles. I mean, yeah, let's go with that one. But welcome in. $30 for chicken tendies. Yeah, it was a nice place. And like, to be fair, I got like, I think it was like 15 chicken tendies. So it was a lot of tendies. Like, that's like $2 per tendy, which is still like a lot, but like, they were really good. So I can't be like that mad about it. Oh my god. I'm drinking water. I don't know. I'm still mad at California for the $30 grilled cheese I got. Like, I will never... California... I do yearn for In-N-Out. Like, ever since I left Off-Kai Expo, I do think about In-N-Out every day of my life. But what keeps me from going back and keeps me on my leash of staying in Baltimore is the $30 grilled cheese. That'd be fucked up. If they reheat well, that's 2 meals. Yeah, that's true. It stonks, right? You gotta be... That's like if I buy a pizza, it's like... This is like 3 meals, bro. For me and David. Like, this is... And it was $8. Domino's had a deal yesterday where it was $8 for carry-out pizza. And I was like, David, can you buy me a pizza? And he was like, I don't know. And then he looked at the deal and he was like, oh shit, yeah. I spent $60 on 2 rolls of sushi. They delicious. That's the thing, is if it's good food, then it's like, I don't mind paying the high price tag. But it was like a solidly like, okay, grilled cheese, like it was fine, you know, but it was not $30 fine, you know? Anyway, back to me selling bones. They call me the bone man, I sell the bones. You sell bones? Only the slimes. Maybe you'll be able to add my bones to your menu soon. What the fuck? Huh? Let's take some steps back. You'll just have to pick them up from the forest floor. I think I'd have a... The innkeep's a dick in this situation. Why can't the innkeep grab them by the shoulders and be like, bruh, you're fine. I think I'd have a hard time convincing a werewolf to give up free bones. Maybe the innkeep is just dumb with their shit. Yeah, that escalated quickly. Why are you so... Innkeep, you can't just say that. Why are you so anxious, Fable? Fable, have you tried Ritalin? No. I might have some Wellbutrin in the back. Fable, actually no, Fable likes the forest. Fable, you just want some weed. Like, if Fable dies, we burn the creator's house. I mean, they gave me the game for free, so I don't want to go that far, but I might have some words. I might have some words. Have you tried not overthinking? Fable, have you tried yoga? It's just all in your head, Fable. Like, it's fine. I'm memeing, just so we're clear. I'm memeing, okay? In general? I think answering that would take up more time than we have to spare. Yeah, Innkeeper's kind of a dick right now. About taking the quest. It seems to me that you want to take it, but you're trying to talk yourself out of it instead. Oh, well, I do want to go on that quest. Werewolves may not be the best muses. But it would make a good start for a song, right? The prelude would have an epic. Fable, the protector of the woods, the world, the worms. The worms? They seem like they need protecting. But every time I think about embarking on a quest, and I start to think more deeply about what might happen, all my bones start to shake and I feel dizzy. Is there something making you feel like you might fail? We need to get homie an adventuring party. Like, have you considered finding 3 pals and getting them to go with you? Aside from the bloodthirsty werewolf? Oh, we don't know what it's thirsty for. It might prefer orange juice. Here, Fable, take this. It's a Baja Blast, okay? Just carry it with you everywhere. It'll protect you. She reminds me of a VTuber I follow. Oh, a VTuber. I might know them. It might. Well, heroes have history, right? Great feats they can look back on to prove their bravery. Inspirational adventures that remind them of the light in the dark. I have the opposite of that. Great mistakes and epic regrets. I'm sorry, my brain is so raw. It's like, epic. Epic regrets. Like the Mary Morgan incident. Or my first encounter with the Amaranthine Hydra. Or the reason why no one wants to spend time with me. When did you encounter the Hydra? Well, just a day after it arrived to guard the portal to the Dream Plane Avalon. I wanted to be polite and neighborly, so I brought it some homemade biscuits. Okay, I actually do not know Garden of Kira. That person I do not know. I might have to look them up. I burned them a little in the oven. But I thought since it has fire breath, it wouldn't mind. So I approached the Amaranthine Hydra, and I have this whole speech prepared about how I'm looking forward to having it around, and how its green scales match my hat. But it was so tall and intimidating, I forgot all about what I wanted to say. I just set the biscuits down and smiled awkwardly. It looked at my biscuits, and then at me, and it said, "By the rivers of the stars stands a man who reads the firmament's past. Some things are as sturdy as the golden ice. Some things are as changing as the horizon sea. All chimeras hate mice. All hydras love tea." I thought to myself, wow, the Amaranthine Hydra has given me a riddle. A quest! Maybe this shall be my first adventure. But I couldn't figure out the answer, so I left. I tried to solve the riddle for 3 days, but I was too ashamed to step foot in front of it again, lest it know that I was not worthy of its wisdom. But then I couldn't take it anymore and I ran back, apologized, and begged for the answer. Turns out that's just how it speaks. I wanted tea.
Did you get it some tea?
Yes.
Then you completed its quest!
3 days late. If it had needed an antidote, it would have died.
Well, would-haves are about as useful as an antidote when you haven't been poisoned. They change nothing. Yeah, they're adorable. I love them. She has the same energy as you. I will definitely have to check them out then.
I suppose you have a point.
So what about the Mary Morgan incident?
Yes, the Mary Morgan incident. Didn't you hear about that? Oh, thank Gaia word didn't get around. It was my very first adventure. The chance to finally escape from the daily grind.
What happened?
An adventuring party was on their way, passing through the Ashen Grove. Due to the sylvan spirits, it gets fairly foggy at night. And the fog bears great danger to anyone who isn't acquainted with the spirits who call it home. So they wanted guidance from a local ranger. A merchant up in Tregearin recommended me. I agreed to help, of course. My first adventure! Yay! And no riddles to get confused about either. I was so excited, but also very, very nervous. So of course it had to go wrong. I think it was the nerves.
Why were you so nervous?
New people! Seasoned adventurers! One stronger than the next, all in shining armor and armed to the teeth. I wanted to leave a good impression, but my bad luck got in the way.
How'd it go wrong?
I felt their condescending glares on my back as I walked them through the woods. Of course, I don't know whether they actually glared, but my fear got a hold of me and I led them astray. Must have blacked out. Never gotten lost in the woods before. This time I did. I couldn't see well, there was blood rushing in my ears, and I felt dizzy. So, for some stupid reason, I led them along a path no one should ever take. Past the riverbanks of the Shivermere, home to the Morgan. You know the Morgan, yes? The wrathful spirit that's known to drown men? Not sure if she really differentiates between genders, though. For some stupid reason, I led them right into her arms. I got scared, and in the end, they had to save me! They fought the creature and we finally found a way out when dawn broke. And the fog ebbed away. I couldn't look at them for the rest of the journey. I silently bid my farewells when we reached the other side of the Ashen Grove. I was too embarrassed to speak. I'm sure I'm still the laughingstock of every one of their gatherings. How am I ever supposed to set foot in the adventuring world again? To be fair, it could have been worse. Could have led them right into the arms of the wyvern chimera that resides in Quag Mangrove. They say it has a taste for adventurers.
But you did it!
But I didn't.
So why does no one want to spend time with you? Yeah, Gamer was having a time. They were struggling.
Because I'm unlucky. I'm unlucky and whenever good things are supposed to happen, I ruin them. No matter how easy things may be, nothing seems easy enough for me. Imagine there's one nail sticking out in the whole kingdom. Everyone would pass by it except me. I get caught on it and I rip my coat.
Did that happen once?
Once? I wish it had just been once. It seems like my life only follows the path that's the most embarrassing. Or dangerous. Or dangerously embarrassing. The curse of ill luck follows me wherever I go. Like an adventuring companion who secretly wants to kill you.
What are these metaphors? This innkeeper gonna ruin their self-esteem even more with that question? Yeah, oh, jeez. Fable, you deserve better. Let's see.
No one wants to hang out with someone who naturally attracts bad things.
You're too harsh on yourself, Fable.
Am I? See, just last week I wanted to gather fresh flowers. the daffodils are blooming and they make for a nice bouquet, you know? Or hair accessories. They always calm my anxiety when I have them around. But me being me, I confuse them with their evil twin, the Weeping Amaryllis. Now guess what I spent the whole day afterwards doing?
Weeping?
Like a baby, all day long. When I plucked them, they released their spores and I started crying. I suddenly felt all the sadness of the world rush over me. I've never been so heartbroken.
I'm sorry, that sounds horrible. Yeah, I would go on an adventure with them. I love Fable. Fable, I love you. Like, you deserve better. And this innkeeper, kind of the worst.
It was! Between the tears and the sobs, I managed to make a tincture out of hogweed. It eased the pain, but tears wouldn't stop until dawn. I'm so silly sometimes. There's nothing wrong with picking flowers. There is if they're the wrong flowers.
Sign me up! We all need a non-binary elf to draw in bad luck. It's what we deserve. Actually, we don't deserve Fable.
Imagine if I had offered them to the adventurers. Even worse, the Hydra. That would have been so embarrassing.
I don't think gifting others flowers to make them a little happier is embarrassing. And it would have made for a good story to laugh about together.
I don't think...
Oh, wait.
I don't think they would have laughed about it with me. More at me.
Maybe they would laugh with you if you choose not to run away. You seem to assign a cruel sense of humor to people that haven't actually shown you a thing yet. Not everyone thinks about you the way you think about yourself. If someone told me this when I was like 15, it would have changed the course of my life forever. Like dead ass.
That would be nice. Innkeeper?
Yes?
Do you like spending time with me?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
Of course. Seeing your face in my tavern brightens even the cloudiest of days. Please never stop coming around.
I won't. You make me feel a lot less alone. Thank you.
That's because you're not alone. Not as long as my tavern and I are here.
You better not go anywhere.
Not planning on it. Anyhow, you seem to be very insecure. I think that's the biggest problem here.
Well, how can I not be when everything I touch falls apart?
You know that isn't true.
You're right. I'm a great gardener. Everything grows around me, but I seem to just get smaller. Except zucchinis. I can't figure out how to grow those. So, in a way, I'm like a zucchini.
What? Okay. That helps you. That helps.
I'm insecure because I don't know what I'm capable of.
You'll have to find that out then.
Like, on a quest?
For example.
Don't you think that I'm a little underleveled?
You think that'll change by sitting around?
Guess not.
Yeah, go kill some wolves. Get on your grind.
Someone has to help those people, right? What if I don't and then no one else comes around? What if I'm the only chance they've got? Oh, what if I'm not? There's someone better.
The best thing you can do is try to help them. So what if another adventurer swings by and they're able to make the situation better? Isn't that a good thing? 4 hands are better than 2, and who knows, you might even end up forming a party.
Oh.
And besides, if it's a perfect hero they want, they'll be waiting forever.
Didn't think about it like that. Maybe I shouldn't decide to give up before I even try. After all, I am a very fast runner, so if I screw up, I can just run away real quick.
That's the spirit.
Okay, I, Fable, a great gardener, and, future hero, charmer of nymphs, am going to embark on this quest and save the villagers. And I shall return victorious!
Yeah, you are!
Did I do it right?
Yes, good job. I leave the quest in your capable hands, brave adventurer. Would you like a drink to aid on your journey?
Yes. you have something that can make me more nimble and so much for the raid. I appreciate you. What did you play? What did you gamer? What did you do? Thank you so much for the raid. If you are new here, hi. My name is EEBEE Games. I love Skyrim and today fantasy elves. I love women. And that's about it. Mostly spill the beans. Ooh, I do not know that. So we are playing a game today called Tavern Talk. And it is very, very cute. We're basically the innkeeper of like a fantasy setting tavern. They told me it was a combination of Coffee Talk and D&D. And I never played Coffee Talk. And I don't like D&D. But I like Valhalla and I played Pathfinder 2nd Edition, so I thought that was good enough. So I've been trying to voice all the characters and I'm doing my best. I'm kind of an amateur voice actor, but I'm doing my darndest. But I'm having a lot of fun. So thank you gamers so much for the raid. If you have to get water or food or dip out or anything, please feel free. But yeah, thank you for the raid. But yeah, it's very cute so far. So Fable is our little elf they them who is trying to find themselves and is very insecure and has crippling anxiety, but we're trying to convince them to go on a quest so they can build their self-esteem. So they're gonna go kill a werewolf to build their self-esteem. When I phrase it like that, it seems like a not good idea. So, but we're doing it. So we're doing it. I'm dying so hard. I'm in mad vocal abuse mode. No! Don't do it! Stop abusing your voice or I will abuse you. Okay. I'm Keena's vocal coach just for context, but I don't think that actually makes what I just said any better. Promise? That does not sound very professional. I know I feel better about myself after pretending. Sometimes you just have to beat your head into a wall, and that's okay. Except it's not okay, because then you'll give yourself brain damage, and then you can't un-brain damage. Anyway, would you like to see which emotes that describe Twitch chat? Go for it. Hit me. So, we now need to make them a potion makes them nimble and quiet so that the werewolf won't see them coming, and hopefully they won't die. What is that?
Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Leash. Silham, thank you so much for the follow. You're not gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. Speaking as someone with brain damage, do I have brain damage? I mean, I do have a cyst that just like chills in my brain, but the doctor said it's dormant. I need to get an MRI. Unrelated. But anyway, we're gonna make them a jink with lots of dexterity so they don't get caught. Alright. If I want to fight it, I'm going to need that surprise round advantage. Or maybe something that can help me with diplomacy? Perhaps it's just the hungry lost lichen after all and it only needs a pep talk and a hug.
Give yourself dame damage. Let's go.
Maybe we could even be friends. I mean, I would try to befriend a werewolf, but I'm a monster fucker, so... Anyway. But I would need something with a lot of charisma for that. I'll leave the choice up to you. Just make sure you don't pick a random recipe. Please keep it to one of the abilities I asked for. Remember, your choice can influence my fate. Jesus Christ! So this drink is going to... Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna... If Fable dies, everyone's allowed to dox me and beat me with a stick. Like, everyone's allowed to come to my house and beat the shit out of me. In Minecraft. But, like... Oh, no. It could change the entire outcome of this quest. Oh, jeez. Okay. But of course, I'm sure you're already aware of that. Sorry for backseat mixing. Jesus Christ. Don't love it. That happened twice. How many VTubers have cysts in their brains? Is this why I'm an anime girl on the internet? Because my brain don't work? I mean, that would add up. Okay. What did they want? That's the pause menu. Hold on.
Gaslight, gatekeep,
Oh my
girl
God, thank you
boss.
so much for the follow. You know, guys, like Gatekeep Girl Boss. Welcome to the stream. Okay, so either dexterity or Riz. The crown is Riz, right? Can we give him like something with both? Like dexterity and Riz. So something that's like shoop, shoop. All VTubers share the same single brain cell. Yeah, that adds up. That adds up. None of these fit, like, both of them. Like, I can't do, like, one that does both. I have to pick. Which kind of has me a little upsetty spaghetti. I'm gonna be honest. Love Fable, love them. I do not think they are going to successfully, no matter what potion, drink, tonic, whatever the fuck I give them, they're going to Riz a werewolf and live. So I'm gonna play the safe option and give them another swift strike. Okay, I think that's the play here. However, I am going to save the game beforehand. Okay, yeah, let's do that because hi buddy. Also, we have a little pet. Oh, I accidentally fucking there we go. We also have a pet named Andu, so anything we fuck up, we just feed to this creature. And I love this creature. I love this creature so much. Okay, we need fast boy move. Which one's fast boy move? This one. Okay. Dexterity. Oh, shit. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, and then we need big brain move. Is that enough? Do we need more big brain move? I feel like that's it. No, we need then shield move. Yay! Okay. Ding! I really hope Fable doesn't die. I really hope Fable doesn't die. This should do it. Oh, that tastes great. Very brisk. It's just a brisk raspberry tea. That's it. Do you feel a little braver? You know, why didn't we just give them a Red Bull? No, not yet, but I feel faster, more agile, swifter with my bow. Like my arrows could find any werewolf's heart. Yeah, they can. I'm sure the bravery will come later. I'm sure it will. Thank you. This drink gave me some hope. And heart palpitations. Well, there's a lot of caffeine in there, bestie. Give him cocaine and bath salts. Yeah, would you like... Jesus Christ. I think that's your anxiety. Would you like an edible for the road? Maybe. You got this, Fable. I'll try. Have some faith in yourself. Okay. I got this. There you go. Much better. Oh, I almost forgot. I was thinking about how much your words helped me yesterday. And how I'd have to thank you properly if I ever did end up taking a quest, so... So? I brought you some phoenix chilies from my garden. They seem like something you might enjoy. I do love chilies. Like the restaurant. I would really like some chips and salsa. They possess natural magical properties. If you plant them in the right soil, they can grow to be fire resistant. And consumption can pass... Oh, wait. And that consumption can pass... Or... Bleh. And consumption can pass that on to mortals like us? Exactly. I thought they might go well with your drinks. They will. Thank you, Fable. That's a very thoughtful gift. Chili's baby back ribs. Yeah. I think we need to take Fable to Chili's. Like, I think that'll boost their confidence. Can we take them to Chili's? Like, anytime I'm sad, literally, whenever I've been hanging out with my friends and I'm sad, they'll be like, you want to go to Chili's? And it's like, you know what? Yeah, I do want to go to Chili's. Chili's saved my life, okay? Since I'm waiting for another shipment of infusions in a few days, I'll take a look at them all together later. Later, not labor. Of course. I'm glad you like them. Maybe I'll order a drink with some next time. I need an arm tattoo. Maybe. But first, I have to complete my quest. I'll see you post-victory. Yeah, let's go. Let's go, Fable. Woo! I wonder how Fable is doing. It has been 30 seconds. Maybe they'll find some new ingredients for me. Although, probably not. Chili's, head pats, and chill. That's literally what I need every day of my life. Every single day of my life. Hope my shipment arrives soon. Oh wait, that's fuck. Oh! We're back to Edgelord Mick Edge. Edgelord Mick Edging. You again.
Me again.
And who are you?
Someone who wants a drink.
What kind of drink?
Drink.
Yes, I get it. Could you try being more specific? It's Fable's alter ego. Yeah, this is who they roleplay on DeviantArt as.
Spoken art one tasted fine.
Thank you. Well, I guess we're making that again. All right, let me go into my recipe book. This one, bada bing. And then we need this move. The very tippy top. Perfect. And then we need a little bit of this move. Yeah. And then we need some of this move. Yippee! Alright. Ding! Easy money. Ta-da! A spoken heart just for you. Maybe it'll help you find some more words.
Good attempt. Perfectly drinkable. Might make me come back for more. Might not.
Thank you. Enjoy. Oh. Charming. Alrighty then. Now it's nighttime. Maybe we'll see the hot wolf woman again. Oh! Hello. Ah! 2 gamers. Hello. Oh god, what voice do I want to use for this person? I kind of want to make them annoying. I don't know why, but I kind of want to make them annoying. What do I want to do? I don't know. I'm gonna just start reading and see what happens. We'll see what happens. Careful! You'll step on my cape! Oh,
Shush.
Greetings, travelers. How may I help you?
Ugh, not another one of these empty blabblers.
Empty Would you... I can confidently say I'm all but empty.
That's what they all say. Seems they've given you some more dialogue options than most, but that don't convince me just yet.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Of course not. Probably forgot to give you enough intellect.
Hey!
Would surprise me if there was actually a brain inside that skull.
I'm sure there is. Oh, I don't know. Have you checked? I'm gonna make them French. No, but I can assure you I'm different from your average background character.
Sure.
I must agree. You look much more delicious than they usually do. Thank you? No, I should let you know. I'm not on the menu. French is annoying and high-strung. That's what I was thinking. I can't do a great French accent, but it works for a vampire.
Don't worry too much about him. He's a tad quirky.
I see. That thing on your shoulder, is it quirky too? What thing? Ah! My cape!
Your
Cape?
That's not his cape. That green fella's on his shoulders and ooze, or what's left of it.
And the rest is on you?
Aye, pretty tough to clean off.
May I ask how that happened?
You just did.
Maybe I can offer you a drink in exchange for the story in your names?
Yes, I love stories.
Well then, may I have your name?
No, but I shall tell it to you. I'm Sir Alphonse Louis Frederick Duquette de Song.
It's long for Kyle.
Oh my god!
Kyle?
Kyle.
Well, Kyle, what kind of drink can I offer you?
Blood! Or if you're out, I would also settle for something that tastes like blood. Or looks like it. Red is my favorite color.
I'll look for something with red in it. Okay, what do we have that's red? That is not red. Red. Kinda red? No. I feel like, well, they want sword move. What has the most sword move? I guess this one's gonna be the answer. The Southern Brawler. Let's try that one. Yeah, I'm not super confident with my French accent, but it's still fun to do. It reminds me of, I don't know, if you ever watch like Most Popular Girls in School, it reminds me of like Saison Marguerite. Oui, oui, baguette. Okay. That one. There we go. Then a little bit of this move. And then a little bit of this move. I don't think we made this one before. Perfect. Alright. Ding! Some almost blood for you, sir?
Oh, thank you very kindly. That looks delicious. It also tastes delicious. Very alive. Maybe as a chaser, you could let me have a bite.
No.
Okay.
And to whom may I offer the second drink?
Rhea Frostgrip.
Nice to meet.
Yeah, Skip. Just serve me something strong. Something that feels durable, tough, like a mountain or the caves of Ur. One of those frosted lagoons looks close enough.
Coming right up. Okay, they gave me the actual drink title then. So this one I don't think we made either. So let's do that one. And then ding, ding, ding. There we go. Then a little bit of this move. What? Go. There we go. Whoop. And then a little bit. Oh wait, it didn't go all the way. There we go. Whoop. No. Okay, here. Tip. There you go. Okay. And then what was the other one? This move? Yeah. Did I do that right? No, I didn't finish it. I think I messed up. Hold on. Oh, I know what I did. Okay, you take that. Okay, here we go. So it needs one of these things. Just one. There we go. And then it needs something at the top. Yay! Okay, there we go. Ding! A taste of Ur just for you, valued customer number 2.
Ah, you hitting the placeholder text? Let me try. I see you are many things, but not a liar. Tastes like a pile of rocks. Just how I like it.
So, Rhea, Kyle, what about the ooze-filled story?
Fine. Guess you've earned it. Alright, picture me, deep in the mountains of Dulvamere, with my trusty axe and a good drink by me side.
You need to do like a Scottish accent. I'm not good with accents.
There I was, minding me own business, digging for the good stuff, you know. Hit a gold vein earlier and deemed myself the luckiest dwarf of all time. Had a real big pile of gold. Then suddenly, this big ooze comes along and gone it was.
This is a very boring story. Perhaps we could go looking for my cape now.
It's nearly sunrise.
And?
The sun kills you.
Yeah, I can't do a Scottish accent.
Oh, right.
Did the ooze also eat the cape? Oh, we've got a shit ton of rumors. We gotta put these together. Ooh, okay. That's that's the cool ass. Wait, look! They drew the cool S on the rumor. Cool S, cool S, cool S, cool S. Fuck yeah. Okay.
Thank you for the clip gaming. I appreciate it. Yes.
No.
Oh.
Anyways, I wouldn't call myself the best warrior, but when that ooze slurped me gold, I had to do something. So I took me shovel and dug and hit and dug and hit until there was nothing left of the ooze anymore.
I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy diggy hole. Diggy diggy hole. Do y'all remember? Do y'all know Diggy Diggy Hole? If you don't fuck with Diggy Diggy Hole, you need to go look up Diggy Diggy Hole immediately.
Well, almost nothing.
So, did you dig out your gold?
Silly food. She dug out me.
And guess what he was clinging on to?
The gold?
Oh yes, a big gold nugget should be enough to get me to Bolivia. And perhaps it can get me even... Wait, hold on. And perhaps if it can even get me a dandy new cape.
I don't think so, Sunshine. We had a deal.
Ah, we did? Please allow me to ask a question. What was that deal again?
I get you to Baruvia so you can practice in your fancy vampire banquet, and in return, I get the gold.
But what about my cape?
Where did you last see your cape?
Don't even bother. It's a lost cause. We looked everywhere on our way here. Fought cursed cheats, many-eyed monstrosities, undead goons. And I started to wonder, where in his life did this man put his cape?
Where everyone puts their cape.
Do you know where I put my capes?
Where?
In a wardrobe!
Oh. So you can wear it inside the wardrobe land?
What? No!
Kyle, maybe we could find someone to retrieve your cape for you.
We could? Phenomenal.
I could put out a quest for you, but for that we'd need a little more information.
Good luck with that.
First, I need to know where you last saw your cape.
I was getting ready to go to the annual vampire banquet hosted by Lord Strut and Baruvia. While getting dressed, I realized I couldn't find my cape. My first thought, of course I cannot find it. The cape of invisibility is playing tricks on me. It's quite booty sometimes.
I didn't even catch the Narnia reference. Good catch.
Which is truly unfortunate when you want to wear it for such an important event. We all know how important the fancy cape is for flaunting your vampire status.
Of course.
Then what? Oh, hold on. I'm gonna... Okay. Then what was the last vampire event you wore this cape to?
My wedding.
Your wedding.
When I married my sweet Evelyn, I simply had to wear my most treasured cape. To show how important she was to me.
Evelyn. The vampiric Countess Evelyn residing in Marrow Castle.
That would be her.
Congratulations! Are you still married?
Of course not. I hate her. Every inch of her body. Turns out she just wanted...
Spit it out, leech.
Oh.
What?
My cape.
Oh, rats. Here we go again.
My sweet Evelyn stole my cape.
What now?
Yeah, I just can't do the accent. We're not doing the accent.
That little mean, vicious, beautiful beast. Ha! That thief of thieves robbed me of my most precious possession.
Wouldn't that be your heart?
No, I had that taken out centuries ago. But my cape! I could never live without that.
Yeah, he hates her.
Oh, sweet, sweet Evelyn. How could you do this to me? I trusted her with all I had.
That's rough, buddy.
Perhaps innkeeper, that's your name, right?
Sure.
Do you think there's a courageous adventurer out there brave enough to retrieve my precious cape for me? I'm afraid that my sweetest Evelyn will kill me on sight if I ever set foot in her villa again.
Yeah, I think we can find such an adventurer. We're setting up that search right now. So where could a brave adventurer find Marrow Castle?
Deep past the abyss of dread, at the foot of a mountain range that looks like a witch's bosom towards the towers the mansion of my dear Evelyn. Queen of darkness, temptress of men, flamenco champion of 1467. The right hero should be able to outsmart her and escape with their life. But be wary, she bites.
And she may be invisible now.
Alright, well, I think I've got everything I need. I'll write up a quest for you. I'm sure you'll have your cape back in no time.
I hope so. That reminds me.
Not another cursed monologue. Innkeep, quickly. Another drink. I don't think I can make it through another tale of woe without some artificial stamina. I need another lagoon.
Alright, I'll see what I can do. Easy money. Where was the boobadoo? This one. There we go. Hi, Delacorn! Welcome in, gamer.
Also, the innate presence ability to remove my presence.
Yeah, I have this problem where apparently I'm really quiet when I'm walking. And sometimes I walk too quiet and I scare David. So David constantly jokes about putting like
He jokes about putting a bell on me. Because I apparently scare him all the time when I walk in because he doesn't see me coming, you know? Oh shit. There we go. There we go. So for a while I used to wear little like jingle bells and stuff so he could hear me coming.
Is that right? No, I messed it up again. Okay, this one. And then this one? No, I messed it up.
Been belled by my partner.
Yeah, I was just, I don't know. I didn't know. I'm too quiet. Apparently that freaks him out. Is that right? No, stop automatically filling up. Okay, this one. Wait, maybe I went too far with the blue stuff. Yeah, I think I went too far with the blue stuff. So this. There we go, and then maybe this one? And then, no, not that much, no. And then maybe,
I knew that. Tell me you were testing a situation. I honestly should do that. In your case, it's cute. In mine, less cute. I'm 6 foot and I loom over my partner.
you just have to flex on them. Maybe just like start T-posing. Like, what are they gonna do? Just start T-posing at your partner. I think it'd be hilarious. Yeah, because this looks right, and this looks right. Oh my god, again! Hi, everybody! Hello, good evening! Hello, with the crown! Crown, thank you so much for the crown! Hi, gamer! Welcome in, everybody, if you are new in town.
Gaslight Geek,
thank you so much for the
Girl Boss.
follow. You're not Gaslight Geek Girl Boss. Good evening. My name is EEBEE Games, and I love fantasy women, and I have a big hat. Big hat Zero, thank you so much for the follow. You're now also a Gaslight Geeky Girl Boss. Welcome to the stream. Let me give Crowns a shout out. Hold on. Let me see if I do this right. And then Crayons VT. Did I do that right? I did it right. Okay. Wait, that is you, right? Yeah, I did that right. Okay, perfect. Welcome in. How was your stream? Thank you so much for the raid. We are currently playing Tavern Talk, which is a visual novel that kind of has Coffee Talk vibes. If you played that game, I haven't, but they told me it did. And we're serving drinks in a kind of fantasy setting. We're an innkeeper at a tavern where we serve adventurers and we give quests. So it's very fun. It's very cute so far. But I'm having a blast. I played Dead by Daylight and it was actually decent. Yay! Congratulations on not, yay! Congratulations on murder! Yay! We love to see it. Keep up the good work. So, I have to make this drink, and I'm a little confused. Because it needs to be this shape, but it's not that shape. So I need to figure out how to make it that shape. I thought I did. I don't know. I did. I think maybe more sword? Maybe more sword. Is that good? No, that's not good. Okay, maybe we do need 3 blue. So let's do, here, drink this. Yeah, if we fuck up a drink, we just give it to this creature and he helps us undo it. So we'll do, I'm glad there's no timer on this because I'm stupid. I know the biggest thing we need is defense. So we need 3 blue. There we go, perfect. And then maybe 1 over here and 1 on the top. So let's do 1 sword and then 1 on the top. Yay! Okay, we got it. Ding! Alright, so we're serving a dwarf and a vampire who are giving us their life stories. And we learned about a vampire's messy divorce. And he's looking for his cape. Some liquid stamina for a valued guest.
Let me try. You got it right again. I might even last till dayfall with this.
Kyle, would you like another drink as well? Yeah, the vampire's name is fucking Kyle.
Which is hilarious to me. No, I cannot drink now that I am consumed with thoughts of my love's betrayal. Oh, it ails me so.
Everything ails ya. The whole way here, you were complaining about having to walk.
My bat form doesn't work like it used to. I'm out of practice and the slime weighs heavily on my shoulders. And my back is all itchy.
By the dragons, could it be because you insisted on sunbathing?
Yeah, that doesn't seem very wise.
Oh, alright! Innkeeper! You have a drink to protect me from the sun. Perchance something that would also moisturize my delicate skin.
You can't just say perchance. I'm afraid not.
Oh. That reminds me, my Aunt Mathilda used to harness the power of a chimera's saliva for sun protection.
A chimera?
A thing, beast made of several animals. Got 3 heads and all, made by the dragons that guard Gaia. Likes to eat people for breakfast.
I'm aware. I just didn't know its saliva could be so useful.
Ah,
If only I hadn't eaten that delectable bear chimera in the Scarlet Caves. I could have asked it for a sample of its saliva.
I'm sure that would have gone over well.
Actually, I might know where to find one.
Really? Will you get it for me then?
No.
Oh.
What? Why are you looking at me like that?
Miss Frostgrip, dearest Rhea, perhaps we can alter our deal?
Oh, no. Forget it. I ain't going. With nothing on me but a shovel and ooze goop, I'd be no match for such a beast.
No problem. I can make it another quest for my trusting board.
And when will it be done? Tell me, when can I walk among mortals in the glistening sunlight once more?
As soon as a fearless adventurer picks it up and succeeds. Especially that part.
Splendid! Did you hear that? A quest just for me.
Let's leave it at 2. Say Innkeep. While we wait for someone to do his work for him, do ya perhaps have a room or 2? Possibly a room without sunlight? Wouldn't want Snow White to go up in flames here.
Sure thing. I've got a couple of barred up rooms. You can stay there.
How much?
You can pay when you leave.
Grand. Seems like they gave you more personality than usual. Keep it up. Maybe you'll become a real girl one day.
What? Well, thanks. Enjoy your stay.
You too, tasty creature.
Alright, cool. So, can I set up my... Oh, no. Oh, okay, it forces me. That was the one thing I was worried about, is I'm like, what if I forget to set a quest forever? What if I constantly never do quests? And I just forget. Let me see. We're gonna do our quest. Let's see. Here we go. There's all the vampire ones. And then here's the last one. There it is. The vampire. Yeah, okay. This one, a quirky vampire is looking for his cape. Hi, Vader. The innkeeper is female. Yeah, we set our gender at the beginning. Oh, Marcus, thank you so much for the hydrate. I'm almost out of water, so we might need to break soon. But thank you, gamer. Eves, I gotta get food and relax for my eyes and brain are completely fine. No worries. Thank you so much for the raid, and please get some good rest, gamer. All right. A quirky vampire is looking for his cape. Love the cool S. We're gonna shout out the cool S again. He seemed a bit confused. Wanted to go stroll for the sun. The vampire last saw his cape on his wedding day before he was wed to Countess Evelyn, and that's where she is. Does that work? Hey there, Evelyn. On a mild summer morning, a senile vampire came, which is called Kyle Senile, goddamn, came to look for his cape of invisibility at the Wayfarer's Inn. After steady questioning, the innkeeper uncovered that he lost his cape at his wedding, where his ex-wife, Countess Evelyn, stole it from him. She resides at the foot of the Witch Rath's Peak. Venture to the peak and dare to retrieve the long-lost cape. But be aware, she might be invisible. Okay, I think that sounds good. And then we got a few, this one we can do. Okay. Let's see. According to the Amaranthine Hydra, a chimera's hatred for mice is a universal truth. Or maybe it just rhymed with ice, who can say? I think this is gonna be the one that starts. A wyvern chimera resides in the Quag Mangrove. Adventurers beware, you might be on the menu. This one, according to the Amaranthine Hydra, a chimera's hatred for mice is a universal truth. Or maybe it just rhymed with ice? Who can say? The one thing that stands a chance against the ruling curse of the sun is chimera saliva, apparently. I don't know if that's right, but we'll try it. Okay. Yeah, deep in the Quag Mangrove resides a wyvern chimera. Its scales and claws are a valuable treasure to any alchemist. Its saliva even more so. As it happens, a certain vampire may be able to use the rare saliva to produce a sunscreen so effective that even he could walk in broad daylight. Is there any adventurer or mouse brave enough to confront the beast, the chimera, not the vampire, and bring back a bucket of saliva? A bucket sounds like a lot. That's that's a lot. Okay, well that looks like it's all the quests we have for today. Feed our little boy. Feed our creature. Sweep, sweep, sweep. Blow out the candles. Alright, cool. And that is Act 1, Day 3. Alright, we're gonna take a quick break just so I can go to the bathroom and get some more water. If you've been watching the stream since the beginning, please go grab some water, go to the bathroom, get a snack, and I will be back. We'll do 3 minutes since I have to get water and go bathroom. So we'll be back in 3 minutes, so don't go anywhere. I'll know. Alright, we'll be right back. Boop, 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 ba-doop, boop, 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 ba-doop, boop, ba-doop, boop, 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 boop. No, don't leave me. Okay. There we go. Alright, I'll be right back. Hello, I'm back. I am hydrated and I didn't pee my pants. Let's go. Nothing but dubs over here at EEBEE. Alright, let's get the next day started. Yippee! Alrighty, my shipment of infusions finally arrived this morning. I now have access to some fake crystals and frozen pine cones. That's cool. Together with Fable's Phoenix chilies, I have 3 infusions now. Ooh. So is that like extra stuff we can add to do funky stuff to the drinks? Or is it going to give us new drinks? Beep, 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 beep. I'll unpack them later when I have some time. I have a feeling they'll be of use soon. Alright, let's see what's popping. Let's see. Oh, I got a new achievement. Fable didn't die. Fable didn't die. Fable didn't die. And she... Oh! Are they friends?
Are they roommates?
Oh. Listen, I can fix this. Just let me pick up some chamomile tincture from my treehouse. The chamomile's proven to be great for healing wounds.
You've done enough, little pal. I'll be good from here. Thanks.
Fable, Carolyn, back so soon?
Innkeep? Say, did you send this blighter after me?
I told you she has nothing to do with any of this. It's my fault alone, so let me at least fix you up.
Better keep your clumsy hands off me.
Now, how about we calm our spirits a bit and you tell me what happened? I don't remember. This is Carolyn, and she's mommy. I don't care if it makes me a furry. She's mommy, okay? I'm sorry. That's the tea. Misunderstanding, I suppose? Yes.
The elf thought I was an Uncle Dre.
Oh my god, Fable! Fable!
The elf thought I was an old Uncle Dragon look-alike.
The uncle that looks like a werewolf?
Yes. No, it's a bit more complicated. Doesn't matter. What matters is the elf mistook me for a werewolf.
Fable! You can't do that! No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Maybe, but not on purpose, I promise. It's just me and my bad luck. See, it happened again. Nothing ever goes right. Don't say that, Fable. Tell me what happened. We can start from the beginning, all right? Right. So, you sent me out to look for the werewolf in Tregarret. That's racist, Fable. You can't do that. Fable, no! I felt agile and ready, braver than I've ever felt before.
The quest I gave you, Innkeep.
I recall, Carolyn.
Good.
I have my shortcuts and trails that allow me to travel rather swiftly through the Ashen Grove. And by early dusk, I reached the borders of Tregarret. The Ashen Grove thins out around there. You can catch a glimpse of the wide fields and vineyards, as well as see a farm or two. Truly idyllic, especially during sunset. There's one downside to that idyllic sunset, though.
Ugh.
It gets dark.
Of course it does. And every tall, looming person in the dark is automatically a werewolf, huh?
Huh, Fable? No, but every tall, looming person hunting down a farmer's sheep is.
No, I didn't do that.
Yes, you did! And the quest stated that was exactly what the werewolf would be doing.
In my defense, I'm broke.
Carolyn, you're so fucking real. You're so fucking real for that, actually. She's so real for that. We've all been there. So Carolyn was busy hunting sheep, and in the shadow of dusk, you thought she must be the werewolf. Exactly so.
And then you needed not 1, but 3 arrows? Oh, I just noticed the arrows sticking out of her. Oh my god.
I'm swift with the bow.
I figured.
And I was preparing to fight, not bargain. So I shoot.
Trigger, happy?
I can't get myself to aim right for the heart, so I aim for the shoulder. Suddenly the werewolf starts cursing and cussing words I've never heard before, like a sailor. How I imagine a sailor would swear. I've never actually met one.
You're telling me you never heard?
What? I like to imagine she's saying cunt.
Hey, what's going on? Cunt. Why is it censored?
Youth protection. The age rating system is quite harsh.
Ah. Anyways,
I was watching my prey through the bushes and suddenly I felt a piercing pain in my shoulder. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Of course I cussed and swore. That fucking hurt.
Shot through the heart, and you're not to blame, cause you shot through the heart, and you're not to blame, because you can't aim. Let's see. I've never been so happy to have missed.
So I turned around and get ready to lunge at the rascal who dared to aim at me.
Thank you for the clip, gaming.
And an orange gleaming eye stared at me through the shadows right into my soul. I thought, that's it, that's over. I heard the bells of death ringing in my ears. I was done for and I hadn't even set foot out of the Ashen Grove. I stumbled backwards, tripped over a branch, and crashed into a tree.
Nah, that weren't the passing bells, Elfie. Actual bells from the chapel in town.
Hi, Joy-Con! Welcome in, Gamer! We are playing Tavern Talk, so we're solving a bit of a dispute. We sent our friend Fable, who is an elf with anxiety, on a on a quest to help them build some self-confidence. We sent them on a quest to find a werewolf, and they accidentally shot our friend Carolyn 3 times because they thought she was a werewolf. So we're cleaning that up. She's a dom. She bit him 3 times. You can't look me in the eye and say this person is a dom. You cannot. No. No. Not even like soft dom. No, no, no. Absolutely not.
Right. So they crashed into a tree, the rustling of leaves, crackling of branches, high-pitched yelp.
I didn't yelp.
Yes, you did. It caught the attention of the actual culprit. He must have been on his way to tear apart yet another sheep.
Hi, future girl.
She's so much of a bottom that she can't be dommed into take the dom. Reminder, Fable's pronouns are they, them, by the way, because the book just said so. I think it has everyone's stuff in it. Yeah, we got Kyle, Fable, Rhea, and Carolyn. Okay, so
just a reminder.
but regardless, they're a bottom. I feel like that meme where it's like, tell me your pronouns so I know how to insult you. But yes,
he must have been on his way to tear apart yet another sheep. Perhaps the farmer's heart this time after our wrestling caught his attention.
But we love Fable. We love them. Heard the growling. Such a deep, guttural growl, it made my blood curdle. I swear I saw my life flash before my eyes.
Sounded more like an empty stomach to me.
A big, empty stomach then. Either way, bad. Very bad. But yeah, don't worry about it if you got it wrong. I wouldn't have known, honestly, unless I read the character. So no worries if you got it wrong. A howl rang through the air when he emerged from the bushes. Tall and towering, glowing red eyes and fangs as big as my hand. Probably around 8 feet high.
6 feet max.
8! Seeing that tall creature sent shivers down my spine.
You said that already.
No, I didn't. Seeing that tall creature... You did say that already. And I was frozen. I was sure the Mara Morgan incident would repeat itself. I'd stand there and watch everything as it happened, unable to move. He looked around and sniffed the air, and his eyes locked with mine. Then I remembered what you told me. Werewolves love playing fetch. So I swiftly pushed away from the tree and picked a stick up from the ground. The werewolf noticed my movement, but before it could lunge at me, I threw the stick into the bushes as far away from me as possible. I wanted to buy myself some time to adjust my bow, but... the stick somehow also influenced Carolyn, and both of them hurtled towards the bushes.
Carolyn!
And that's not all. Well, I couldn't help but run after that stick.
You know what? If someone threw a stick, I would probably drop everything to go follow the stick too. I have horrible ADHD. I'd be like, oh damn, let's go.
Well, I couldn't help but run after that stick. I noticed something odd on the werewolf.
Squirrel!
Flannel rags. So I forgot about the stick and grabbed him by the throat, slamming him against a tree. He wiggled and twisted like a worm, growling and barking right in my face. I stared him right in the eyes as I heard the elf approach from behind. They knocked an arrow on the bow.
Don't, Carolyn said, and I lowered my bow hesitantly while she studied the werewolf's face. She growled like she always does. Uncle Dragon, she exclaimed, and I flinched.
That Uncle Dragon? Yeah. My darned uncle was in full werewolf transformation. In front of me, right there. Acting like the biggest, wildest rascal in the whole world. I was joking when I told you that story, Innkeep. Wouldn't have actually thought the werewolf was my uncle. But, this is exactly why I don't do cases involving lycanthropy.
So how did you deal with him?
Confronted him, of course. Knocked some sense into him, you know.
We tied him to a tree so he wouldn't get any ideas before transforming back. I knew learning all those sailor knots was good for something.
It's good for a lot more than that.
What do you mean by that? I mean...
Either way.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Are you thinking what I'm thinking, chat? Hey, yo! Hey, yo!
Either way.
I think we're all thinking it. Yeah.
The truth is only half as exciting as figuring it out was. Apparently, he contracted lycanthropy at the annual family gathering. Oh!
And since he grew short-tempered, he and his husband got into a lot of fights.
Oh.
So he ran away. I can understand that all too well.
What, the running away or the gay werewolf angst? Because personally, I understand both of those things very well.
Of course I can't kill Carolyn's uncle just because he's a werewolf.
So you let him go?
The elf knows a swamp witch that might have worked out a cure. Dropped him off there. No more tearing apart sheep. For now.
So, all in all, you'd say the quest was a success?
With a few obstacles attached. And someone getting hurt.
Listen, the arrows themselves ain't the problem. The coat, though, that was expensive.
I'm sorry, really?
Don't worry about it. After all, we got rid of the lichen for now. Elfie even got you a keepsake.
Oh, it's nothing really. It's not even that interesting. I just thought...
You thought?
I thought it would be a nice reminder of my first successful quest. I like trinkets. What is it?
Come on, quit being shy.
Well, we played fetch with the stick afterwards, and I thought I could bring it here. Is she gonna give me a stick?
Oh, fuck yeah!
After Carolyn brought it back to me.
Had to finish playing fetch after all.
Nice memory of sorts, you know?
It is a nice memory. Thank you, Fable. I know just where to put it. Stick! We got a stick. We got a stick. Stick, 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 stick. We got a stick. Ah.
Right. Anyways. How about a drink to celebrate? On me.
I don't think Fable ever pays for their drinks, but sure. On you.
I told Carolyn you have a hand for mixing just the right thing for any situation.
Absolutely. For the both of you?
I'll pass. I'm going to run home quickly to get the chamomile tincture. See you later.
Later. So, Innkeep, surprise me with something that fits my brawn. By which I mean make me the usual. Strength never gets old.
What is your usual, girly pop? I don't remember your usual. Something with strength. So big sword money. I think it was this one? Yeah. Southern Brawler. We'll go with that one. Okay, all the way over here. 3 of these. I love the little noises. Okay, ding, ding, ding. Then a little bit of this one. This is Stick of Truth. Hell yeah. I kind of want to replay the South Park games low-key. I feel like that'd be fun. Oh, no! It always does this where it, like, doesn't detect it, and then I'll pour more, and then it'll, like, give me another one on accident.
No, my dad was thinking about, my dad's very supportive of me trying to learn Japanese, which is really nice of him. But now he's like, we need to rewatch those South Park episodes and we need to replay Stick of Truth together so you can translate what Princess Kenny is saying. And I'm like, if you think I'm ready for that, Dad, okay. I need to know if Princess Kenny is actually saying words in Japanese or if it's just nonsense. Alright, here you go, Bessie. It even has a little straw. That's great. Here, this should be to your liking.
It is. Not bad. Thanks. So, that little blighter, you raised them? Is Fable just my child now? Okay. Fable? Oh, no. No? That's surprising. You two seem very close. Like family.
They're regular.
I see.
Huh.
Oh, she took a quest. Oh, wait, did you see her braid? That was cool as shit. This still available?
Yeah.
Great. I'm taking it.
You still have arrows stuck in your shoulder.
Tis but a scratch. Plus, Elfie is gonna give me one of their... Plus, Elfie is getting me one of their hippie salves. Should be fine after.
Alternatively, you could take a rest, get some sleep, let your wounds heal, rid yourself of the ammunition decorating your body.
Alternatively, you could mind your own business.
Damn, okay.
I know what I can handle. And if I don't move on to a proper quest without bumbling elves and useless relatives, I'll go insane sooner or later. You want that?
No, at least not in my tavern. I worked really hard on that woodwork.
Then you do your job and let me take it.
I mean, you already have. I'm just doing my job in, how do you call it? Expressing appropriate concern?
You did this woodwork yourself?
Excellent transition, Carolyn. Yes, I did. I did all of it myself.
Why? Couldn't get anyone to help?
I had a very specific vision.
And too much free time.
That too. Boredom does things to you. One day you're bored, next you're learning how to gloss wood.
You know any carpentry? I know of carpentry. And of boredom. That's exactly why I gotta take this quest. You need to counteract the boredom before it makes my biceps shrink.
I don't think that's how that works. I think muscle takes like, what, 2 months or 2 weeks to start to decay? I'm not sure. But boring is not what I'd call this quest in the slightest. Stealing from a chimera for a vampire's sunscreen. Couldn't get more reckless than that.
Could be by taking Elfie along.
Fable's gonna have a party! Let's go!
Fair point.
Please don't.
I won't. Don't need another accidental piercing. So the saliva's for a vampire?
Vampire sunscreen.
Can't a vampire get their chimera goo themselves?
It's a wyvern chimera. Vampires and fire don't mix too well. Also, if everyone just did their own quests, the quest economy would be in shambles.
Suppose that'd be terrible for your business.
Indeed. Does it bother you that it's for a vampire?
No.
Does it make you nervous?
No.
You did mention that you like fangs.
Did I mention that I have a great sword 3 times the size of your head?
I'm sure a vampire would find that impressive. Have you ever encountered a chimera before?
No, not a real one. Got me thinking, ain't it kind of blasphemous to steal from a draconic guardian?
Depends. Are you religious?
Guess not.
Then no.
Would it be if I was?
Don't think so. Chimeras steal riches all the time, and they were created to be guardians by the protectors of the realms. So, stealing something to protect someone else seems in line with the doctrine.
Good thing you ain't a priest. You do a piss-poor job.
Thank you. Is blasphemy what you're most worried about?
I ain't worried.
Okay. Nervous?
Ain't that either.
Then what is it?
Excitement, I suppose.
Excitement?
Don't laugh.
I'm not laughing. I'm asking.
Yes, excitement. I've never encountered a guardian before. And I've always sort of wanted to. Why haven't you?
Let me do this real quick. Recalibrate my model.
There we go. Okay. Why haven't you? It ain't exactly easy to find one, or to survive one.
This just seems like a great opportunity for you then.
It is.
What's it about Guardians?
It's less about the Guardian, more about what created it. Maybe a little bit about the Chimera. It's got a dragon head, right?
Yes, modeled after its creator, I would guess. So let me rephrase that. What is it about dragons and chimeras with dragon heads?
They're cool. Also, when I was little, my Baba used to tell me bedtime stories about the dragons every night. She was a great adventurer and encountered many of their creations on her journeys. Not sure if it's true, but she always claimed she met each of the realm keepers themselves. Had little keepsakes from them and all. My sword's one of those. Passed it on to me before she...
Asked?
left. One day she was just gone. Think she wanted to spend her last moments somewhere else.
Damn.
Like to think she visited one of her dragons one last time.
Ooh. Maybe she's off stealing sheep.
Too soon. That sword and her stories are all I have left of her.
Oh shit, sorry. I'm so sorry.
Going on this quest almost feels like I'm stepping into a memory of hers. Did she ever tell you about a wyvern chimera?
No. Was the only kind she ever encountered.
Had quarrels with those feline ones. Different varieties of scales, even a cow one, I think. But never found a wyvern one for years. Would have been nice to be able to tell her the story when I return. If I return.
I'm sure you will. You can tell the story to me. I don't know if I make for a good Baba, but I do enjoy a good tale.
I'll think about it. You already got me talking too much.
This is you talking too much?
So, you like dragons?
So, you like jazz? I do like dragons. They're fascinating creatures. Very interesting. Very magical.
They are. Fascinating. And magical. Used to pretend I was one when I was little. Really wanted their magic and their wings.
You can just ask them for magic. Not sure about their wings.
I ain't a priest either. Besides, I'm a warrior. Don't do all that magic shit.
Why not?
I like my sword. And my muscles. They're a good combo. I don't need to rely on anyone. Not even dragons.
A little help never hurt nobody.
The last time someone tried to help me, they shot me with 3 arrows.
Okay, that's a good point. They weren't trying to help you. They were trying to kill you.
Oh, Fable, Fable, Fable.
No, I like this game. This is really charming. Little lass, does that mean you don't want a drink to pep you up, Carolyn?
Didn't say that.
I see. That doesn't count as help.
Free payment for me taking on your quest.
Sure. I'll be happy to hear that I have some incredible infusions to offer that could greatly help with your quest.
Nah, that sounds unnecessarily complicated. Let's keep it simple.
Alright, what can I get you then?
I reckon a little bit of boost for this body couldn't hurt. Heard they're quick, toothy, so I'll need to be hardy for its bite.
So defense something.
Yeah, some defense might come in handy. Something for the brain. Baba talked a lot about how... Wait, hold on. Baba talked quite a lot about how much they enjoy a good ruse. Maybe I can outsmart it with the right play. I need some intelligence for that. I won't be risking it all on a bad idea.
Maybe you'd want the drink with an infusion? I just got to unpacking my shipments today.
What?
Infusion. I use them to spice up my drinks. They grant you special abilities. Like Phoenix chilies. A little bit of one will make you fire resistant. That could be very useful in a fight.
Sure. Okay, we have 3. I'll try one. And on the topic of trickery... Oh, wait, shit. No, 1 is enough. Either you mix defense with your weird chilies, or you go heavy on the intelligence.
Oh my god.
Don't need any more of your fancy tricks. I don't care which one you pick. That's your job. Figure it out.
Yeah. Now that I have access to infusions, I have to be careful about how they interact with other ingredients. They might alter the drink in a different way where I have to use different ingredients when usual. I should make sure to keep an eye on the coaster shape. Oh, this one right here. To make sure that I get the correct recipe. Maybe I should try adding an infusion first and adjusting the drink from there. So we wanted to do, I think I want to try using the infusion just to know how it works, kind of. So I think it was the defense with the fire infusion. We'll do this one. And then we'll add the fire infusion first. Take one. Boop. Okay, and that is, yeah, so we'll just slam a little bit of this. There we go. And then, a little bit to the top. Frosted Lagoon. Okay. Do we need more defense? What if we just give her more defense? Yeah, just load her up on defense. Yeah. I bet she'll like that. Oh yeah, we got an achievement for some spice. Ooh. Figured it out.
You're getting better.
Thanks.
Feeling tougher already. I'm dangerously close to catching fire myself. Think I could almost take on a dragon like this.
Let's stay grounded.
Oh, wait, hold on. How urgent is the sunscreen?
Pretty urgent. The sun tends to not take a break, even for vampires.
Maybe he should sunbathe less then. That might solve his problems.
Yeah, we put the chili in, and the chili was the fire-resistant one. Might. Well, when has an easy solution ever been fun?
Good point. I'll see what I can do. Maybe they got some mice in that mangrove.
Good luck.
Won't be needing it. What I do need is that chamomile salve. Gotta go look for that blighter.
Go easy on him. Thank you. I'll be waiting to hear of your exploits upon your return. Alright, there goes Carolyn. And now we're on to nighttime. Edgy McEdgeface is back. Let's go. Yeah, we still don't know his name. He keeps coming back though, so we gotta be doing something right. Good evening to you too. Good evening to you, sir. Oh, he has taken a quest.
This quest wasn't here yesterday.
That is correct.
Seems dangerous
It is.
and mysterious.
Uh-huh.
Like me.
You could be a little less mysterious by telling me your name.
Zephyr.
Ah, that's cool as shit. Did the wind carry you in?
No, my legs. I want that quest.
Well, you can have it.
Not just literally. Physically. Emotionally.
Bro is gonna fuck that quest. What does bro mean by that? Emotionally?
I want to take on that quest. Go to the castle. Get the cape. I mean... yes.
Well, no one has gone to the castle yet, so if someone would like to go, they'd be welcome to.
So you know of the castle.
Yes?
It seems strange.
It is. A vampire lives there.
I heard rumors, whisperings. A strange, fiendish woman residing there.
Yeah, that's in the quest. What a coincidence.
Has she frequented your tavern?
Nope, not recently.
But she has.
Once. At a vampire mixer.
Interesting. She was only here at night.
Well, that's what vampires do, yes. Yes.
Would you say she was unnaturally pale?
No, she had a lot of makeup on.
But below that mask.
I mean, sure, yes. Would guess she looks pretty dead below that.
What kind of drink did she order?
Blood?
You sell blood?
Well, yeah.
Whose blood?
Anyway, did you hear about about the wolves avoiding the castle? That's crazy!
Really? All of them?
Yes, she had a lot of werewolf traps set up. But all animals seem to steer clear of Marrow Castle. They say its doors are always locked, so nothing can go inside or leave. And anything that tries to merges into her land one way or another. As a grave, a pile of decorative bones, dirt-feeding rotting flowers, pay for the drink or become the drink. Hi, Kid Appa, welcome to the stream. I mean, listen, I gotta cater to all kinds of clientele, okay? I gotta make it work for everybody. They say death clings to her doorstep like an everlasting melody.
Sounds like a strange place. Like a tomb for something still alive. Or for a goth.
What the heck?
Goth or vampire. She seems to be a thief.
It appears so. Do you not sympathize with that?
Thievery's an honorable skill. Wait, I can't. Thievery's an honorable skill, but it must be performed in secret. Or you're not worth the coins you pocket. Also, stealing a man's cape is just plain rude.
I suppose. Only thing worse than that is stealing a man's hat.
Not if it's cursed.
Well, especially then.
Point is, if you can't defend yourself from having your trophies reclaimed, you must live with the consequences.
The consequences being you?
Exactly.
It definitely sounds like you know what you're doing.
Of course I do. I am one with the shadows and the wind, gone before they even notice I'm there.
So you could easily swing something else along with the cape, right?
Certainly. Gold, gemstones, other treasures, whatever pays the bills.
What about some interior decorations?
Like what, for example?
Just something to pretty up my tavern a bit. Maybe something useful that also doubles as a decoration?
Like a chair?
Stealing a whole chair sounds a little too ambitious for your first quest with me. I'd prefer something smaller, like a little trinket. My walls are still a bit empty.
Wait, you're being serious?
Yeah, absolutely. A memento that once belonged to an eccentric vampire sounds like a wonderful addition to my tavern.
I'll see what I can do. You won't be disappointed.
Well then, I trust you to deliver yourself to her doorstep and the cape back to me, along with a neat little addition to my interior design.
Sounds like I'll need a few stamps.
Would you like some?
No, too traceable.
How about a drink then?
I could do with one of those. I heard your drinks inspire transformations of great magnitude. Allow you to dip into parts of yourself that you weren't previously aware of. Raise yourself up from your shadow. Say, what do you trade them for?
Secrets. Give me the tea. Oh wait, no, I meant to. Fuck! No, that's not what I wanted to click. Fuck. Okay, fine.
A joke? That's not. I don't do jokes.
Then I don't do drinks, I'm afraid. I guess we'll just run with it. I didn't mean to click that. God damn it.
How do explorers hide their treasure?
Ow!
By dragging themselves to a safe location.
That's cute. Alright, I feel bad for you. You may have one of my renowned drinks. And some of my renowned infusions.
Infusions? Intriguing. What vile magic do you have to offer?
For your purposes, I think you could benefit from either some fake crystals or a frozen pine cone. Frozen pine cones have absorbed some of nature's icy properties. It can help you form a magical frost barrier that will hurt those trying to harm you. The fake crystals hail straight from Avalon, allegedly. If consumed, they'll turn you invisible. Eventually. And for a bit. The duration's a bit unpredictable. I've also got some phoenix chilies, but I don't think they'd be very useful for your situation.
Interesting.
So what dark depths of yourself are you looking to explore?
I fear that Lady Evelyn may be of the undead nature.
Yeah, you think?
So I must be strong and vigorous if I want my stake in her heart before her fangs are near my neck. But that does sound appealing.
What? Strength I can do. And some frost armor should help with the fangs. Or perhaps
smarter route would be to evade her wrath entirely. Out-stealth her and steal the cape from right under her pale nose. So that may lie in the shame of having lost against me. I think such an approach would require a certain amount of dexterity. And some invisibility could help with staying unseen, should my speed and agility not be enough. Tell me what the decision in keep. Your wisdom is no joke, is it?
Let's do the dexterity one. Cause what was it? It was, yeah, either big dexterity and the invisibility. Let's do that one. I feel like that's the safer one. So what's our big dex button? Okay, that's gonna be this one. And we'll start with our invisibility infusion. This one's invisibility, right? Yeah, okay. And then we'll just add, this one, yeah. A shit ton of dex. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Well, I guess that's enough dex. Maybe a little more dex. Yeah, okay. And then, he needs one on the bottom. Oh wait, no, it already has one on the bottom. Shit. No, it is one on the bottom. I'm stupid. Yay! Okay, swift strike. Ding! Here you go. A drink that all vampires fear.
Garlic breath.
Not quite, but that's a good name. May I steal it?
You don't ask for permission before you steal something in keep. And it's no longer a clever ruse, but a mere trade.
I see. Did you hear about my new drink, the garlic breath?
Good one. Tastes like, not garlic, but just as fearsome. To a vampire.
You don't find garlic scary?
No, only the absence of it.
You know what? Me too, honestly. That makes two of us.
Hopefully this will help me evade her. I'm not prepared for a fight, but I won't need one if my steps are as swift and as quiet as the wind. And if she can't see me, goodbye, Innkeep. I would say pray that the sun will carry me back to you. But my hopes do not lie with the Realm Keepers, and I shall be damned if they control my fate. Expect to see me again but after the next sunfall. If you do not, speak of vengeance.
Vengeance makes for an early grave?
Or for a good story.
Farewell.
Oh wait, farewell.
Okay, cool. Alright, we have his character info now. Awesome. Or for a bitter end. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Alright, I am gonna have to wrap up the stream here because my tummy fucking hurts, and I really have to pee. Like, really violently have to pee. So we're gonna wrap up here really fast. Let me get a raid started while I do my little end card thing because, oh, that's YouTube, not Twitch. Or no, I need Twitch, yeah. Just to get that going, I gotta go piss girl. I gotta go piss girl so bad. And we are going to raid Salem. We have not raided Salem in a while. Salem is very, very sweet. We're gonna just keep it generic because I'm gonna go piss girl. We're gonna do just EEBEE raid. EEBEE raid, yay! Okay. If you are new in town, hi. I have a Discord and I have a YouTube and I have I'm writing a book and yeah, that's good enough. All right, bye gamers. Bye bye bye. See you on Friday. Yeah, Friday. Whack.